Hey everybody, so we're back here with these two W-31s. My car in the corner there we call the OG, and Joe's car we've named Mr. Jones. So this is his 69 Cutlass S W-31, and tonight I'm going to show you guys what makes a W-31 a W-31 to the best of my ability, okay? So let's just get right into it and answer some questions here that people might have. If they think they have found one or they want to know if this one's real, I'm here to tell you this is real, okay? So VIN number is not going to tell you guys any car is a W machine, a 30, 31, or 32. The VIN won't tell you. The VIN will tell you that it was built in Lansing, Michigan, or not. Has to be built in Lansing to be a W car. No W cars were built, no documented W cars were built anywhere but Lansing. There's some talk that W-32s might have been a dealer installed thing somewhere along the line, but I don't know about that. To the best of my knowledge, all W cars were built in Lansing, Michigan. That said, you're going to see an M in the VIN, okay? This one here, the VIN number says 336879M. 33687 tells us it's a Cutlass S Holiday Coupe. 1969 M is for Lansing, Michigan. All right, and the last three of the VIN number will be on the engine block, and in this case, it is. Okay, not going to divulge what that is, but believe me when I tell you, the last six on the dash match the engine block. Very cool. Same in Alyssa's convertible. The VIN matches that car too. The cowl tag. The cowl tag is not going to tell you that it's a W-31. The cowl tag is going to tell you these things. ST69 means it's a 1969. 33687, again, two-door holiday coupe. LAN, Lansing, Michigan. Has to be built in Lansing to be a W-31. Those last six there, 341, 547, that's body by Fisher, body series number. That does not correlate to the VIN. That should not be the VIN. Don't panic if you see a car, the cowl tag, last six, don't match the VIN. Not supposed to. Trim, 930. That tells us this car's got black bucket seats. Black vinyl buckets. 4040, that's the color code, upper and lower, meaning it's not a two-tone car. It doesn't have a vinyl top, doesn't have a different color top. This is 4040 is saffron, okay? Original color of this car. Does not tell you stripe color on the cowl tag. All right, Oldsmobile cowl tags here, they're not all that informative. But it is what it is. 03D is the production date, okay? 03D. 4th week of the 3rd month. March, 4th week of March, okay? That's the cowl tag. So we got the cowl tag and the VIN. Well, that doesn't tell us it's a W-31, does it? Now we're going to go through some other things. No W-31 had power brakes. No power brakes here, okay? See that circuit breaker right there? That's for cars that have air conditioning. In this case, this car's got power seats, power driver seat. No air conditioning in W-31s, but that circuit breaker should be there for the power seat. All right. This is a Cutlass S, so this has hideaway wipers. See, it's got that secondary arm on the wiper arm, and it has a round wiper motor. That means the wipers park. Okay, that is correct for a Cutlass S. Anything other than an F85. The OG over here. You got some bad lighting here. You guys can't tell. See, that's a square wiper motor. These wipers do not park. See, that is a single wiper arm there. F85s. The wipers just stop at the bottom. They don't hide behind the hood lip. Okay? That's just regular Cutlass S stuff. This car does not have the original coil. It's got a Mallory Voltmaster. And we'll see here, oh, look, there's a vacuum tank. Why is there a vacuum tank? That's usually for air-conditioned cars. This car has a vacuum trunk release. That's the can for that. So that is an option you could get on this car. Okay? Now we're going to get right into W-31 specific stuff other than the no power brakes. But again, you can have no power brakes from a non-W-31, but it's got to be built in Lansing, and it cannot have power brakes. Okay? Number 5 heads. Guys freak out when they see number 5 heads. More confusion. Number 5 heads are on every 68 and 69 350. Every single one of them had number 5 heads. They're great heads. Doesn't make it a W-31. Has to have the big valves in those heads. Okay? Has to have the big valves. W-31s, their valves are much different. Their valves are larger. It's got 2-inch intake valves. Okay? And it's got 1.625 exhaust valves. 2-inch, 1.625s. Those are the valves you'll find in W-31 number 5 heads. 68 Ramrod 350, 69 W-31, 1970, right? They went to number 6 heads. We're not going to talk about 70s. This is 1969. Standard L74, standard 350, even if it's a 4-barrel, okay? Those don't have those size valves. You're not going to have those valves. You know, 1.87 intakes on a non-W-31 350. And 1.56 on a non-W-31 350 exhaust. You won't know until you pull the heads off. But you got to have number 5s if you have an original 68 or 69. I'm going to tell you the VIN numbers down here on Oldsmobiles, okay? There's a little pad on the block underneath the driver's side head. And in this case, there's going to be only a few numbers on those pads, okay? In this case, believe me when I tell you, the last 6 of the VIN on the car is on this block. And it reads 39M and the last 6. 3, Oldsmobile, right? 1 is Chevy, 2 is Pontiac, 3 is Oldsmobile. 39M, Oldsmobile, 9 for 69, M, Lansing, Michigan. Okay. 1970s had aluminum intakes. 68 and 69 had a standard cast iron intake, 4-barrel intake. All right? I think that's all the basic could be, could not be. Now let's get right into cool stuff that makes it what it is. Okay? Number 1, you're going to notice that the windshield washer bottle is not on the driver's side. Windshield washer bottle on the passenger side, W cars only. And the hose goes along the passenger side wheel well with a clip there and a clip there, and it goes over to the wiper motor. Okay? Wiper motor again, round. It's got parking wipers. It's got a secondary arm and the wiper arm. These wipers park. All right, OG over here. Washer bottle. Passenger side. Washer fluid hose. Square wiper motor because these wipers don't park. This is an F85. Washer bottle has to be on the passenger side. Okay? You can have power steering in a W31. You cannot have air conditioning. Alternator will always be on the passenger side. You can have power steering. This car has power steering. My car does not have power steering. That doesn't change the fact that you're going to have a water pump pulley that says, if you guys can read it here, that says KA. Can you see that, guys? KA. KA is a water pump pulley for W cars. It can receive a power steering. It doesn't have to. Both of these cars have KA pulleys. While we're on the topic of pulleys, we're going to talk about harmonic balancers for a second. Harmonic balancers on W31, 68, 69, and 70. They're all the same. They're big. Okay? They're roughly 1 7/8 inches thick. These cars have big balancers. Okay? That's a big harmonic balancer. Both of these cars have, there's a better shot of a big W-31 balancer. Okay? Here's a standard balancer to show you guys. See how thin that is? And that's off a 69 L74 motor. Okay? That's about 1 1/8 inches thick. W-31s are like 1 7/8 inches, roughly. You can definitely tell when you hold them up next to each other. W-31 balancers, some guys want big money for these balancers, but gotta be there. 68, 69, 70 has those. Okay? You're gonna have 68 and 69s, you're gonna have outside air induction. A lot of guys get kind of lazy calling them ram air. I do that myself. Ram air is Pontiac. OAI, outside air induction. There's the air cleaner. There's the hose, and you're gonna have these 2 clamps on the wheel wells right there. And then they go down to the holes that were drilled into the fender wells. Okay? There's a scoop underneath the bumper. Right there. Feeds this hose, which is held down by that clamp, which goes to the double snorkel air cleaner. Chrome lid, 68, 69s are the same. 68 under bumper scoops were a little thinner, height-wise, but wider. 69s were a little narrower, left to right, but a little bit taller. So 68 and 69s are different. All right. W-31s, hope I'm not confusing anybody here. W-31s have 2 fuel lines. W-31s have a fuel return line along with cars with air conditioning. So I happen to have 3 69 Oldsmobiles here, my daughters, and these 2 W-31s, and they all have 2 fuel lines. Because these 2 cars are W-31s, and my daughter's car has air conditioning. Originally did. The reason why they did that is to help prevent vapor lock. They wanted to keep engine temperatures down for cars with air conditioning and the high performance cars. Those are the cars that have 2 fuel lines. Okay? Again, I'm not an authority. I'm just telling you what I know and I've known this stuff for over 30 years. W-31s will have to have 2 fuel lines. W-31s will have washer bottle on the passenger side. W-31s will have holes in the fender wells. W-31s will have a big balancer. W-31s will have number 5 heads if it's a 68 or 69. But they will have the bigger valves, and you won't know that until you take it apart. All right? I'm going to show you guys something cool here on this car. See if I can get a better angle here. You know, there's talk that there's marks drawn inside the... I gotta get a flashlight. They would say W machine or W-31 or W-30 or W inside the fenders on these cars. This car, can you guys see that? This car has this cool circle drawn on the inside of this fender and also the inside of that fender. I'm surmising, because that circle is drawn on the inside of both front fenders here, I'm surmising that that was an indicator to the guys on the assembly line that they had to drill a nice big round circle, a nice big hole in these wheel wells for those ram air scoops. I've never seen that before. I've never seen another one with those circles. If guys have, they've taken more of these apart. I've not had tons of these cars. I've had that one. And I've had, 72 Cutlass. I've had an 84 Hurst Olds, 74 42. I've only had one other W-31, and it's that one. I didn't see that on that car. I see it on this car. I've never seen it before. I'm surmising that those are indicators to have holes drilled to accommodate the ram air scoops. All right. This car has the original reverse lockout linkage. If you guys know what you're looking at, there it is right down there. Reverse lockout linkage is still there. And there's the original positive battery cable and wiring tube on the back of the head. Comes down the fender well. Does not come across and go down the intake manifold. Big blocks do that. W-31s were not big blocks. So W-31s would have the battery cable routed just like any cutlass with a stick shift. Small block, stick, it goes this way and straight down. A 442 would be a big block and it would come this way and down the intake. All right. Let's see, what else do I want to touch upon? I did the pulley. Oh, 6-blade cooling fan. 6-blade fan. This car's got a clutch. Oddly, you'll notice this car does not have a fan shroud. Now, according to the factory assembly manual, there should be no fan shroud for a W-31 stick. This is a 3-row radiator. We learned that 3-row radiators were in W-31s in '69 if it had a 342 rear, which this car does. The OG over here has a 4-row. But Rich, who I bought the car from back in '88, completely and utterly admits that 1968 fan shroud was installed from a '68 parts car he had back in the early '70s. Because in Florida, this car always ran hot. This car did not have a fan shroud originally. It's had a fan shroud since the early '70s. Does not run hot. This car has evidently never had a fan shroud. We don't see any marks where there was ever bolts here for a fan shroud. I really don't see, I think maybe right here we could maybe see the outline of the Care for Your Air Induction System sticker. It would look something like this. Tape it off in the snow. That's not there, but I think that's where the outline would be. All right. So let's see here. I made myself a little cheat sheet. I'm just gonna glance over at it here. What did we talk about? We talked about the balancer. We talked about the washer bottle. We talked about the fuel lines. We talked about the ram air scoop bracket locations. No power brakes. Power steering is okay. No air conditioning. I showed you guys the circles drawn on the inside of the fenders. That's pretty cool. You guys know about the '68, '69 air cleaner. You can almost make out. Some of the writing up top there. Kinda. Again, it's supposed to look, and that's an original lid. It's got the little reinforcement behind the hole. It's got the rubber gasket on it. This is also an original lid. A little ding on it and some pitting. There's an aftermarket lid that we just have for show. Much lighter duty, but. So that is original there. This car has a right date-coded alternator. I'm probably rambling and you guys might be getting bored. And for that, I'm sorry. But I just want to make sure that we're going over all the stuff that people find interesting with regards to these W cars, okay? Cowl tag breakdown, we did. VIN on the block, it's there. Number 5 heads is for 68s and 69s, although W-31s are going to have big valves. KA pulley, W cars, vacuum canister for the trunk release. That's just this car specifically. 6-blade fan with a clutch, 3-row, no shroud. Okay. Oh, here's another thing, W car. See, I'm glad I made this list. front fender brackets on W cars. Can you guys see this? See where that bracket comes down and hits the bottom of the fender right there? W cars, it is a solid mount. The metal bracket bolts to the bottom of the fenders. On a regular Cutlass, there's a rubber, almost looks like a piece of tire. There's a rubber insulator between that bracket and those fenders. W cars with the outside air induction, they do not have that rubber insulator. So that is another clue that you're looking at a W car. Okay, because they had to make that bracket go a little bit further outboard to make room for the ram air scoop. I said it, the outside air induction scoop. These W-31 stickers are original. You can see where they've taped them off when they repainted the car. All right. So these are things that tell me conclusively this car is a real W-31 with a lot of its parts. Now, full disclosure, we do not have the Rochester Quadrajet. That should be a 7029 255. That's a 1969. Quadrajet 255 would be W-31 stick. Okay, guys, I got two 69 W-31 sticks here. I don't have a 7029 255. I'd like two of them. I don't want to spend $2,500 a piece. I swear there was a chance when I was a kid I had the original one for that car. There's a chance, but you know, I was 15 and that's 34 years ago, so I don't have it anymore. One of those kick me moments, but well. So I guess that's the scoop here. This car's got headers. My car has headers. W-31s had standard exhaust manifolds. There was a cap on the passenger side for the crossover. Okay? Single exhaust, 2-barrel, 4-barrel. W-31s had standard 350 exhaust manifolds, which is why most of them had headers installed. They're not specific to W-31s, other than you want to have the right date-coded ones if you're putting the car back together right. So far, what we know is we don't have the right carburetor. That's the biggest dent, the biggest ding here. Manifolds we can get, and the ignition coil is, you know, we need an original ignition coil. That's a Mallory Voltmaster, which coincidentally, my car had the same exact coil on it when I bought it years and years ago. All right. You know, this car isn't going anywhere. We hope to not be going anywhere. We hope to be coming back with a lot more videos so we can go on and on and on about stuff. You know, what makes 68 and 69 fenders different and hinges different. You know, this piece right here. This is a great conversation piece. Silver, and this is black. That's original. Alyssa's is like that. This is like that. I did not do mine like that years and years ago. Didn't think that was the way it was supposed to be, but that should actually get redone, I guess, huh? Looks terrible. Okay, guys, I guess that's enough for now. All right? You can leave a comment if you have any specific questions. I'm trying my best. We're trying to get better. I hope the lighting was okay. And appreciate who's watching. Appreciate who's subscribing. Maybe we're starting to establish a little bit of a core audience, people that are really into these types of cars. You know, 913 W-31s were made in 69. 913 of them. All right, 569 were this Cutlass S. 212 were the F85. Half of that, 106, were the Cutlass S Post. And then 26, allegedly 26 convertibles. We know definitely of one, right? Anybody who knows these cars knows of the one that was restored and revealed. I'm pretty into this stuff, guys, and unfortunately, a few years ago when they had the 69 W-31 Invitational at McCacken, this car was accepted to go. And we were on our way, and I bought a brand new enclosed car trailer for the trip, and we were ready to rock, and we got a killer ice storm, and I chickened out at the last minute. I really did. And I would have loved to have been there with that car. in Chicago with all the other 69 W-31s. It actually hurt me to not be at that. But it wasn't meant to be. So, some of the cars that were there, all the cars that were there, I've never seen. I know of some 68s. There's a guy in town, we'll talk about that, who's got a 68. And the 68, 69s are kind of like sticking to themselves, right? All right, so look, let me know if there's anything else you guys want to talk about with respect to how to identify one of these. I think we got it covered. Most of the time what you're going to find is red flags that tell you what it's not. Canada, no way. Now, that's another point. There could be a car that was imported to Canada, and it will have all that Canadian documentation, which is killer. That is great stuff when it went through customs. That was not a Canadian-built car. Those cars that were shipped into Canada and are W30s or 31s, they were still built in Lansing. So you can have a Canadian documented car still built in Lansing. But if it says made in Canada on the Cowl tag, not a W31. Sorry, those are the rules. All right. I guess that's really it. And of course, paperwork. I'm a paperwork geek. We have paperwork for this. We have the original bill of sale that shows W31 option ordered. I've spoken to a friend of Mr. Jones just the other night who actually met this car in 1979 and drove this car and was extremely impressed with this car, and who's actually hopefully been watching the channel. But he claims he had never seen another one at that time, W31 4-speed. We're going to save that for another video, all the history about this car. Mr. Jones, again, Navy sailor during Vietnam, and this car has some travel stories, which is extremely cool, but that's another topic. W31 only, I think we got it covered, and thanks for watching.